Well, here it is. The heffalump, the elephant, the pachyderm. You saw it on the last episode. It's what I was working on and trying to get the tracing. Well, this got us in proportion for this elephant here. You probably saw it rocking back and forth, and you can see how I pieced this together. But as you can see, there's a lot to this, and having to build a prop and getting it all together and working in foam. It's a lot of fun, but a lot of work too. Oh. But see, that's the whole thing. In art, especially now that we're moving and I'm showing you where I'm working, it's work. And I keep emphasizing that because I know you keep hearing things and you're in school or you're going to be in school hearing about how fun it is. I want to draw anime. I want to do this. You're going to have to do things you don't want to have to do. You're going to have to understand and study. And that's why right now, when we get into this advanced head drawing, you're going to learn a lot of things. You're going to learn about how to make that face animated in different expressions and how to apply it to different things that you're going to have to know how the muscles work. That's what it takes, and that's what it's going to take in order to get from there to this here. Now, granted, he doesn't have an expression, but within time, this is going to expand your repertoire in your arts and understanding that. So in this episode, it's mostly lecture, and there's going to be stuff that you're going to reference where now you're going to have to find your reference on what to do. So hang in there, watch this episode, and we're going to cover the advanced head drawing on this episode of Artifacts. I gotta get back to my elephant.
You want me to draw you something?
You can't just draw what you want.
All right, so you can see where we are as far as filming and trying to get stuff together. If it wasn't for my lovely bride who is working over there doing my not blocking in, but base coating, I wouldn't be able to do half the stuff that we're doing. This job takes a lot of work. A lot. And she does the administrative part, that the business part of the business that runs in order to make yourself efficient. You just can't get into that idea of, oh, I want to paint when I want to, or I'm going to do whatever. There are finances, there are scheduling, and there's things that you have to do. Okay, that's going to come later on down the road, but right now let's get into the advanced stage of head drawing. Okay. Let's take a look at what I have here. First illustration I have are skulls. Now you can see there is a multitude of skulls here, different angles for shortening, top, side, left, right. To me, the skull is a wonderful work of art. It has been blasphemed into things such as horror movies. It has been noted as death. It has been noted as just everything with poison, with everything associated negative. The poor skull has taken its toll. The skull is a container which protects the brain. It's a structure that keeps the eyes in its sockets. It keeps everything in tune together. That jaw, well, that's part of it, but that skull is a magnificent work of art. When God created that skull, and we're going to get into all the muscles that underlay, that go under the jaw, in between, that work simultaneously to create different expressions. It's an incredible machine. I like the skull. It's really a lot to do with things in it. Let's take a little further look at this. The reason I'm saying that the skull is important is how the jaw works, how everything else moves simultaneously, how the lower jaw moves, and how the mastoid, the muscles pull together and contract and relax and create all of this stuff. My father-in-law's coming out right now, believe? Nope. No. Anyhow, we got people coming out on left and right. But nonetheless, as I'm saying, the skull itself is a magnificent container that holds sinuses, cavities, everything. Now, do you have to know everything about the skull in order to draw a really good lifelike face? Of course not. But it's also good to know these things, just as the muscles. You don't have to know every single muscle in the face, but it's like driving a car. You might not know everything in the car, but if you turn the ignition on and it suddenly goes, the question you have to ask yourself, is it electrical, or does it have to do with the fuel system? What part of the car is it, so you have an idea of what's making it work? Astronauts, for instance, when they head off into space, they don't know everything in the mechanisms and the mechanics that go into building that rocket or the shuttle. They have an idea, but their engineering skills are actually in the mathematical skills of launching and taking the physics of going into space. They don't know every single thing about that. Those are the engineers that make that, and vice versa. Engineers don't know much about being in space itself and zero G's, etc., but they interlock. And it's the same thing here. If you understand a little bit more about the skull and the muscles and how they work, it's going to make you a better illustrator. It's going to make you better to understand what is going on. Now remember, what I'm going to show you and what we're going to be talking about, we just talked about the skull right now. These are things that you're going to have to make the effort to look for different angles of the skull. Practice drawing the skull. Practice working on that. It will help you become a better illustrator. Even if you want to get into animation, you're going to see how that skull and how the muscles work on creating different expressions in the mouth and the eyes, and how the eyebrow is lifted up in one side, or how you crunch. And some people can squeeze their nostrils together like this, and others can flare their nostrils out. I can't flare mine. Things like this. This is going to help you to create those personalities of these faces that you see and people that you look at. Okay, let's move on. The next step is going to be the muscles in the face, the structural muscles in the face. And you can see there are different names for every bit of the face. Now, as I said earlier, you don't have to know every single muscle in the jaw. Now, like I said, my graduate professor knew, and there's a lot of graduate professors who know every single muscle and their Latin terms or Latin names, and great, that's awesome. But I'm just going to tell you straight up, as in fact, you don't even need to know any of these muscles at all in order to draw a great face. You don't. So why are you learning this? Well, the fact of the matter is, the reason you're learning this is because it goes back to what I said earlier. The better you understand and how these muscles work, the better you're going to be able to relate to these muscles and know how they work. And we're going to do that in anatomy when we get to that part. We'll actually have to break down every single, like the arms and then the the pectoralis major versus the pectoralis minors, so that you understand how they work and how they work together. That's the same thing with the muscles in the face. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go on the next step, and I'm going to show you how the nose relates to the mouth and how they work together to create expressions in the face. And like I said, these are the things that you're going to want to learn and see how they all work together. Now, the more important ones, the muscles that you're going to see are going to be such as the nasalis, the orculus oculi, which is the muscles which go around the eye itself. You're going to probably want to know the orculus oris, which is the muscles around the mouth, things like that. Excuse me. You're also going to want to know about facial muscles in the jaw line and how they work, and even in the brows. It's amazing how thin these muscles are that actually work in your face, that create these expressions and how they work together. It's really a dynamic engineering of how everything works. Okay, so now your skill set is to be able to draw these skulls and to draw the muscular faces of how the muscles work on the face. Now, if you were in the intermediate class, remember what I told you. You're going to do 100 tracings. So before you even watch this episode, you should have done at least 100 of these drawings. And I'm willing to bet most of you didn't do it. Yeah, I'm telling you, if you did 100 of those tracings, from 1 to 100, you're going to see a massive improvement, because now on this next step, I'm going to show you how to actually freehand these faces. You'll be better prepared to work and...
Squirrel, squirrel, squirrel!
Stay on target! Stay on your target.
Continue. We're close. Stay on target.
Camera's still on.
A dog. Anyway, you're... no, it's not the mayor. It's another dog. It's
that psychotic lion and our monochromatic friend
romping around through... Anyway, as we're saying, you're going to be able to learn how to work all these other parts of the face and understand how everything works. I know I keep reiterating this, but that's basically what it is. The tracing that you did now, you'll be able to understand how the faces and the muscles work in this episode. It's going to be, like I said, you're going to have to find the face that you're going to want to do. You're the one that's going to have to find that. We're moving into the advanced. And advanced art, you're not going to be told what to do. You're going to have to find that. Just like in college, they will give you an assignment and they will flat out give you a minimum amount of instructions. You're the one that's going to have to do that. That happens in real life. Sometimes the client will tell you, I need this, and gives you a minimum amount of what to work with, and so you have to develop something. And 90% of the time, the client knows what they want, but isn't sure until you show them what they have, and then they're going to go, great, love it. Could you tweak this out a little bit? That's how it works. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so working on that face and the structural face here, as I'm showing you in this drawing here, the next step we're going to go into is let's take a look at some of the expressions that we see in the face. And let's start with the mouth. Okay. As you can see here, the mouth has different muscles, as we talked about a little earlier. And you're going to see how the nose interacts with that muscle of the mouth. So if you smile, the nose tends to turn up. If you're going to tweak your mouth this way, you can see my nose pulls down in this direction. It inevitably follows. Yeah, wherever I go like this, you can also see the neck is now hauled into there. You can see the veins and nerves pulling up here, as I showing stress here. So when you're working on just the mouth, it's not just isolated on the mouth. Imagine trying to move the mouth, but you didn't move the nose at all. And this is why it's important to understand how the nose works with everything. If you look at animators and you look at their desk, they will have a mirror in front of them. And that mirror is to see how the face goes when they're trying to create expressions. Of course, a lot of this now with AI and working in other aspects, they still use mirrors, but more so how they can now manipulate that with the computer graphics, and the computer will actually simulate a lot of the nose muscles and knows where to pick those up. But if you know these things, it's going to make you a better illustrator, especially if you're painting or you're doing something that doesn't require a computer or AI. All right. You can see the different facial expressions on these lips and how they create different positions and manipulating a lot of expressions. This is another issue that you're going to have to study and look at. Let's move on. Okay. Lastly, we have, well, actually not lastly, but the next thing that we have are facial expressions. And what I've done here is taken 9 facial expressions. Some of the expressions can be interchanged. As a matter of fact, some of them actually will work one with the other. For instance, let's take number 2, joy, for instance. Joy could also be, especially in this expression, look at it and study it. Could that person be diabolical? It very well could be. Almost like they're about to do something sinister. But yet we're showing joy here. The next one, number 4, I'm going to kind of skim over these and let you study over these. You can see number 4, which is shock or surprise. That also may lead into sudden death. Person shot instantly. that instant shot of instantaneous death. Another one is number 8, and it's showing here could be 2 different expressions. One could be passion or ecstasy and a compassionate motion, but also could show a point of traumatic death. I've seen that expression working as a firefighter. When the body is instantly shocked into death, it will hold that position. Eyes will roll back in the back of the head. The mouth will jaw open and everything will tighten up, and that person dies in that position. It's almost like a sudden shock syndrome, and the body is just killed instantly. So these 2 overlap, and you can see that some of these facial expressions will overlap. So where this starts to get complicated is like, if you're trying to create something where an image that shows shock or shows, well, a death in this painting scene, whatever you do, maybe you're doing a battle scene, you definitely don't want that soldier to look passionate. That's not going to work. So you have to know what you're working with and being able that the viewer can convey that and understand, oh, this person just died, and not having a very passionate moment at that time. So these, like I said, these facial expressions can change, which goes back to understanding facial muscles and how they work and what is going on with them. Okay, so now the next step is this part here. Understanding the face and how it works is another part that leads you into animation. Take this, for instance, here. Okay, so now we're moving into this area here. Now, I can't take credit for this here, so I want to also claim here, I did not do this drawing. I wish I could have give credit to the artists who did these facial expressions. This is a young boy here, a cartoon character, a caricature, if you will. And you can see these studies here are different facial expressions of this young boy, this cartoon, if you will. This artist has a total understanding of facial muscle structure. This allows him to be able to give these animators an idea of what different expressions this young character has. They do this all the time, and in order to get here, you have to be able to understand the muscles and understand the bones of the face to be able to create those expressions, and even look in the mirror and see how you create these shock and ooh and these kind of expressions here that will ultimately lead into bringing that character to life. Okay, let's take a look at another. And again, I didn't do this illustration either, so I want to give credit to the artist, but it wasn't found anywhere. So if the artist happens to see it, drop me a note and I'll definitely give you credit for it. Here a young girl you have with different facial expressions, and she has different emotions. And again, you can see it's a slightly different style, but again, it draws back to the canon of the face and working and being able to create these images. You will also see that this is effective too when you're drawing superheroes or you're drawing anime characters or any kind of character when the body is moving. Like, for instance, when one part of the body is tightened, the other part is relaxed, what is called into action? And that's exactly what's happening here with these facial expressions. Now, the next part that leads up to is, and this I'll give credit to, as you can see, the, hello, Pooch. You can see the www dot, and I will post that at the end of the credits here of the artist. But here he's created 6 different facial expressions on a dog. Again, you carry the facial expressions from the dog on over to animals themselves. So to understand, you have to kind of be able to create those kind of characters in animation. And to understand that, you have to have a really good understanding of the face. All of everything that I'm telling you right now, you will find other tutorials that will show you, and I'm not putting these other tutorials down, easy ways to draw faces, easy ways to work on, and there are. But the bottom line, no matter how easy they tell you it is, you're going to have to put out the work. Imagine this. 15 easy steps to play the guitar. Okay, they can give you all the information. They can even teach you the easy ways to play the guitar, but it's going to be up to you to practice to make that guitar work. I play golf, for instance, and I'm not on the golf course as often as I can. Now, I know the principles. I know how to swing. I know everything that works and how to keep the arms loose and aim with their swing with the hips and using the back and calling these muscles into order. I know all those principles, but I'm not out practicing enough. So I hook, I slice, I don't get the ball out there enough because of lack of practice. I'm also a swimmer, but I'm making that a diligent factor in what I'm doing, and I'm getting faster and faster in my age group. That's because I'm being consistent. In order to be able to work in this field, you're going to have to practice. Practice, practice, practice. Tutorials can be easy to show you, and there can be easy shortcuts to show you how to be able to do certain things. But ultimately, you're the one that's going to have to work it. You're the one that's going to have to sit down, take 15 minutes a day, take a half hour a day, and study and work and work and work. There are no shortcuts, because I'll tell you this right now. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of artists out there. And everybody is looking to try to make it big in the art industry. And there is money to be made in there. There is. But those who are practicing and working are the ones that are going to make it. My wife and I work hard and diligently. 31 to 35 sets a year is what we were doing. We were busting our tails off. But that's what it took. A client says, I need to have this done by next week. We have the choice to say, no, we can't do it, or yes, we can. If we say yes, we're going to be putting our nose to the grindstone and getting it done. That's just the way it works. The next step I'm going to start talking to you about is going to be about how to draw the face. And we'll take a little break here because I got to get back to work, and my lovely bride over here is working on stones and working on those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of work here, and then I am going to demonstrate how to draw the face and blocking that in using my daughter, Kimberly, and doing her portrait. And then at the end, we'll show you how you can use your own technique or your own style to build up on that. So we'll take a short break, and I'll be back after a while.
Hello? I'm waiting for you to finish me. I want to be painted. I want my body cut out. I want to look fabulous. See you soon. Oh, yeah. Amazing.
Some break, huh? Yeah. Well, here we are 24 hours later. A lot has happened. A lot. Well, first of all, we're working on this set and it's raining. And I said I would get right back to it, but it didn't turn out that way. We had other stuff. But one of the biggest news items we got, and I'm flattered, and you guys are awesome. And I know to a lot of other people it doesn't mean that much. A lot of those big YouTubers, but to me this is big. We hit 100. My wife told me, and our one of our guys who's on the editing, Elliot, he told me, and that's where I got it from. So we hit 100 and we're excited. I mean, I look at it this way: if I had 100 students in a classroom, that's pretty spectacular. That really is. So thanks a lot, and I'm gonna keep doing these things. Now, the other thing I also want you to know, I was supposed to post this on Thursday, and today is Friday, and this probably won't go up until Saturday. But here's the thing: as working as a professional artist and working as an illustrator, doing sets and doing this kind of stuff, sometimes things move around, but I'm going to, you know, I was really all gun-ho that I was going to be here Thursday, 3:30. That's what time we're going to get started. Well, when I took on the other 5 clients, sometimes I have to push things around, and you're going to realize that clients have to come first. Not that you're not important, you are, and that's why I'm trying to make it once a week. But also keep in mind that when you work as a professional illustrator, your clients are the ones you have to really work with those kind of deadlines. But rest assured, I'm always going to have something coming up once a week. I'm also learning more about it, so I'm going to be doing more like the, what is it called? Short videos, and there's other things that I'm going to be doing. So, like I said, I'm new to this stuff, and I'm learning, and I'm, getting all that stuff. All right, well, enough talk. Hey, let's get on to the next part, which I was talking about. Now, the part we're now going into is the advanced part of head drawing. The thing you have to remember now is that if you were doing the intermediate stuff, and if you did 100 tracings, you're ready for this. If not, you're going to have a hard time working with this. Now, there are other podcasts that will probably tell you things like, nothing bad, they will show you the actual face and the contours and how the shelf of the eyes and the nose and the bridge of the face and all of that, and they will block all that in for you, and that's something that you would probably learn, and we'll go over that later on in other episodes. What I'm trying to show you is how to feel comfortable drawing and seeing things that you're actually building on that portrait, and that's exactly what I'm going to do here. The portrait I'm doing is my daughter. Her name is Kimberly. She's a mother of 5, so my beautiful bride and I are grandparents to 5 kids. You saw Maya's sketch, and she's the middle child. And this is her. Now, when you get to the advanced stage, you can now turn around at the end. I'm going to start showing you. that you can take the face and then add a different hairstyle. You can then place that person in another place, or dress them up in different types of garments. You can do all that later on, but right now we're going to show you how to kind of look at what you're going to draw. Now, when you have your image and you have your subject or the model that you're going to be using, the way I look at it is I look at the features such as the nose, the mouth, the eyes. What makes that person an individual as you're seeing? What defines the difference between that person and anybody else that you see down the street, or your best friend? If you're drawing somebody that is very special to you, then you're kind of looking at it, at how these little nuances are different. The nose, the shape of the nose, the eyes, the shape of the eyes, the mouth, etc., and how they're presented. The almond-shaped eyes. Now, I mentioned something earlier, a couple episodes ago, about bedroom eyes, and they are the eyes that are kind of like round, but they have a slight slant to the sides. It's supposed to be the more romantic, and they're called bedroom eyes. I always thought it was kind of cute because when I was younger, I've had friends, female friends, that had those kind of eyes, and they were just very sweet individuals. So I've always associated that as being something as sweet, not anything derogatory. Anyway, so this is what I'm trying to prepare you for. So when you're looking at your image, you're looking at all these things that are going to make that individual that individual. Okay, let's get started. All right, so here on the left, I have Kimberly's picture, and she's sitting in her car. It was just a simple snapshot, but it captures her personality, her smile, her eyes, her bright. She's like this a lot. I'm telling you, she has got the brightest smile. Wife and I just love her to bits because she's just got that smile you see is how she is. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to block everything in. I'm going to show you on the sketch. I'm blocking everything in here. And I already know where the eyes are going to go. They're halfway at the middle of the head. I know where the nose is placed, and I know where the mouth is. That's general. Okay, so I'm placing that in. But now I'm looking at what her nose, her smile, and her eyes, and how that's set up. Now, what makes this portrait a little more difficult is she's wearing glasses. So when a person wears glasses, it changes their dynamic altogether. For instance, here, let me show you. Here I am looking at you. Now watch what happens when I take my glasses off. Ah! Different person altogether, huh? See? Because the glasses change the dynamics of the eyes. So when I'm wearing my glasses, I'm completely different. You should have seen when I was teaching my middle schoolers, Professor, put your glasses back on. So I took that as like, I look better with my glasses on. Well. But now when you have the person with glasses, you now have to take into account for all that. Okay, so now as you can see, I've got that lined in. The next step is, now as I line those in, I'm starting to add in certain nuances, her eyes and where her pupils are going to go. And you can see that sketch here that I'm working on, how her nose is shaped, and a little more detail on her nose, and probably a little more definition on her teeth. Okay, now I'm starting to structure all this and line everything in. Now, I have everything here being on it's a little faster, so you can see how everything is set up on this. And for time's sake, the other reason why I have it sped up. Once I have all this and I have the general idea of what she looks like, now I can start building in small shades and details that are going to bring out her facial features. Again, the mouth is running faster than the brain. So once I have those in, I can start placing where and making adjustments to what her face is going to look like. Now, here without her glasses, this really looks like her. It looks like her without the glasses. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start lining in all her glasses and put those in on this portrait and get this set up. So now I have her glasses set up, as you can see, and there I have my general sketch. Now, you're probably asking this question, what is this on? Well, you can either draw it on sketch paper or you can draw this on newsprint. and you make all your drawings and all your sketches on this. This is how the masters work. This is how Michelangelo did the Sistine Chapel. He would do his drawings on paper first. He would do all of those drawings before he put them up on the ceiling, or any mural would do that. And what he did is he had a pounce tool, and then he took a bag of crushed chalk, and then he would pound that on there, and it would leave a tracing on the ceiling, and then he would simply trace over that and then build the face up. In essence, you're doing the same thing here, because you're going to probably want to transfer that onto gray paper. Or if you're going to use a painting, you can transfer that onto your canvas. I'm going to use the same method when we get into painting. So keep this in mind, and you'll see how I work it. And that's a technique. That's something that I use. Other artists don't. They go straight up and they work on just from sight to painting. It's not even the 4th of July yet, but they're letting them off on a rainy day. So, done? No, still going. We're done. Okay. Maybe not. We're going to pause for a little while, and then I'll get back to what we're going to work on next.
I'm out of ammo.
Okay, we're back, but there's no guarantee that something else will happen. That's the thing about live video, I guess, is you never know what's going to happen next, right? Okay, let's move on. All right, so the next step I'm going to do, once I have this laid in and I have her glasses laid in, now what I can do is I can start detailing everything and start looking at tweaking the drawing out a little bit more, making it look a little bit things that are going to, like adjustments on her nose, adjustments in her eyes, and set those up, adjustments on her glasses as I have here. Now, once I have the sketch completely done, I can transfer that. Now, remember in the intermediate class what we did? We went back and I had you do the tracings. You did it from a photograph. Well, now you're tracing from your actual drawing, okay? And this is why I'm saying the practice on this is extremely important, because in order to be able to do that, in order to be able to do this, you had to have understood how to do that, what we did back there. Can you see how this is all connecting? Can you see now from understanding the basics in the first class we took about the canon of the face? Then the next is the tracing and understanding where everything goes. And now we're taking your actual drawing in which you did on either sketch paper or you did on your newsprint, and now you're transferring that onto your gray paper.
Oh, okay, I get it now.
Now, once I added that in there, now the next step, I can turn around and I can change her hairstyle.
You know, you can change.
I can either leave her as she is, or I can change her hairstyle and then go back to where I was at the beginning of the intermediate class when we finished that off. Now you have your sketch, and now you've done your portrait, and now you're working on more fireworks. And now you're working on the final product of advanced drawing. Okay, we're gonna let them fire off a little bit more, and I'll be this right after back.
No.
Wait.
And we're back. Okay. So now what we've done is, as you can see, I've taken my daughter and I have changed her hairstyle, made her a little more casual, not so like she's got her hair pulled back. She looks just as gorgeous anyway that way, and just as adorable, but I put her hair down and made her look a little more casual, but a little more formal. And now this drawing here is ready to be framed, and you're ready to place that in. Now you can also do this by changing your style, by putting it into a digital format. And we haven't gotten to digital artwork yet, but we will eventually. Now, here's the next thing I'm going to tell you. From here on in, once you've gotten the image down, and that image looks like the person, or you want it to look like that person, here are two things you have to remember. A, do you want the photograph, or do you want your drawing to look like the person you're drawing? Or do you want your drawing to look like the person themselves? Or do you want that picture to look like the photograph. Those are two different things. And I'll give you this case in point. You probably saw during the break, I did a portrait of the Mona Lisa. Okay, that was actually an exercise, and I had to paint that for one of my graduate classes. Now, the professor said, don't paint it that I can recognize the Mona Lisa. In other words, what he was saying, it had to look exactly like the Mona Lisa. And that he was looking at every little nuance. As a matter of fact, I got a B on that because the colors were a little more yellow and the actual Mona Lisa is a little more orange. So I got a B on that. But other than that, the whole structure, it looked like the actual painting. And that's what I'm talking about. You're either trying to make the picture look like, or you're trying to make the person look like that picture, or you're trying to make it look like the person. And I would suggest that if a person says, oh my gosh, that looks like so-and-so, or that looks like, you know, our daughter, or that looks like, then you've hit a home run. If you're trying to really make it look like that photograph, well, that's going to be even a little more challenging, and you're really going to have to really work at that. And you can make it look like that photograph, but keep in mind, sometimes a photograph doesn't look like the person you're drawing. And I've had that happen with people go, who is that? Well, that's so-and-so. It is? And then I show them the photograph. Oh my goodness, it doesn't even look like them. That's because the photograph doesn't look like them. Do you see what I'm saying?
What is he talking about?
It doesn't say anything about your skills or anything being bad about your skills. It's just that you're making it look like a photograph that doesn't look like that person.
He is someone who can help you.
Am I making any sense? I hope I am. Anyway, so don't be so hard on yourself. If it doesn't look like that photograph, but it looks like the person, you've succeeded. The second thing I was going to tell you was that the other part of this is I've shown you now how to build that face and what you're doing to make it look like that person. Now, this isn't the end of this. We'll be showing you other stuff later on down the road when we get into other aspects of drawing and other aspects of portrait drawing. So this isn't the only thing. This is just the beginning to get you going, to get you running on this area. The other thing that I'm trying to tell you is stay focused on what you're doing. Stay focused on your work. It's going to take practice to get all this together. Now, the thing that I'm going to say is that you're going to develop your own style. If you want it to look like a rough sketch, look around, go Google it. Google portraits, and you will see line drawings, sketch-like drawings. If it looks like the person you want, and you want it to be on newsprint, sign it. It's done. If you want it to be on graphite paper, or not graphite paper, if you want it to be on sketch paper, if you want it to be on canvas, more power to you. Do it. Do it. Do it. If you want to watercolor it, and we haven't got into watercolor, and that's an animal all different altogether, and I'll be demonstrating that later on about watercolor. Now, my wife loves watercolor. The thing you have to remember is that you're now going to develop an experiment. Here is another example. When we see, there was a portrait done of Governor Jerry Brown of California. All the governors were done, their portraits were done very, very regal, very, very, very stoic. Well, in the Hall of Governors, his didn't look like that. It looked very contemporary, extremely controversial. It looked like it was just slapped together. You could recognize it was Jerry Brown. You could recognize it was the governor, but a lot of people who didn't like it. And myself, I didn't really particularly care for it either. And the reason is because it wasn't because of the style. That style didn't fit what was supposed to be in that decorum. And it was equivalent to like going to the prom or going to a very formal gala and coming in shorts and tennis shoes. You know, there are certain things that just don't fit. This didn't fit. But hey, that's what art's all about. It's to create controversy. I'm in the ranks that I didn't really particularly like it. I respect exactly what has happened. Okay, down a rabbit hole again. But what I'm saying here is that this is an opportunity for you to now change that direction. To now say, hey, I'm going to try something different. Good, do it. Be bold. Be brave, Professor. Where's that line from?
Be brave, Professor.
Yeah. Okay, so, seriously, don't just frame yourself. You saw my portraits, okay? I enjoy painting that way. But if you can turn around and break yourself out and make it look like that person you're drawing, but in a different style, do it! Do it! Do it! Have fun. Okay, this is your time to break loose and to, break loose. Ooh, you broke loose. It's that time to do that. Okay? All right. I got a little excited. Here we go. All right. Okay, so we've had a lot of fun here. We're now finishing up with the Forest Dance Academy and their rendition of Lion King. We still got quite a bit of work to do. At the end of this, if I don't show it at the end, I'll show it at the beginning of the next episode, which now we're going to go into the canon of the human body. That's going to be the beginning part of, now that you have the canon of the head, we can now add to the canon of the body. When we get to the advanced stages, we're going to break everything down: arm, chest, abs, legs, then the entire body, back, all of that. And it has to be looked at individually. I am going to say this. When we get to the advanced stage, okay, and I'm going to start now, the advanced class is not going to be, I would not recommend it for anybody under the age of 18. And the reason is because there is going to be a lot of shots we're going to have to expose the human body to. It's a serious class. And I would strongly recommend that if you're at a younger age, you know, you're going to learn a lot from the beginning and intermediate. Advanced, that's going to be more for the college students. I will be putting a warning at the beginning of that so that parents will know, you'll know, and you can skip that and come back to it later. But it is a more dynamic, in-depth, and very explicit part of the arts, of the human body. And as a matter of fact, I'll even get into why it's controversial. But just want to prepare you for that, and I will give you a lot of information in the beginning and intermediate, but advanced, that's going to be for the very advanced. All right. So on this wet, rainy night, I want to thank all of you who have joined in the 100 Club. Now let's see if we can make 200. Remember, our goal is to make 1,000, but you know what? I'm ecstatic at 100 right now. If we stay here, I'm excited. I really am. And like always, may the Lord be with you always and protect you and guide you and make those good choices. I do really mean that sincerely. It comes from my heart. There's a lot of things going on out there and a lot of craziness going out of here. You know, I want a channel where you can feel safe and feel good about that. We're working in a direction that is something you don't have to really worry about, and parents don't have to worry about, and you know, warnings about certain things that if I get into something that's going to be a little bit more, I want parents to know all this. Okay? All right. So we will see you next week, God willing. That I think we'll be done. We will be done, right?
Yeah.
We'll be done, and we won't have any more sets until fall. This summer we're going on a road trip, so you'll be going with us on that. I'm going to be competing as a swimmer in California, so I will be in San Diego, and then of course we are going up to Wyoming for a family reunion. You're going to be there too, so we'll take you along. All right, so take care, and we will see you on the next episode of Beginning Canon of the Human Body. We'll see you later.
Like, comment, share, subscribe.
What she said. I always forget that. Take care.
Contrabamba!